Well, good afternoon, this is Hound Dog Steve wishing you a very pleasant afternoon, and here we are in the garden again. Thankfully we've had some rain and all the water barrels are filled up and all of the raised beds are filled up. Yep, sun that's coming in. And I can tell you the plants were mighty grateful of all of that water, and boy oh boy, it didn't help the grass much, but yeah, it sure has helped the garden. Anyway, let's go and take a little look at what's going on, and then we'll come back and we'll have a little chat. Okie dokie, here we go. Well, as you can see, the greenhouse has just exploded. I can't believe that I got so many good lettuce out of this. Of course, the romaine have bolted now, and they'll be seeding out. And of course, this is Grandpa's leaf lettuce, and it's starting to seed. So I will be collecting the seeds of all of these lettuce, and just as these are starting to come on, and they are, well, I've been eating them already. But actually I'm amazed, as I say, that they haven't bolted beforehand, because it has been so hot and dry. As you can see, the tomatoes have just taken off. They haven't quite hit the roof yet, but they will. And there is and as you can see, there is a nice little crop just waiting to ripen up. Won't be too long at all. The strawberries have gone into their reproductive state, and they're sending out all kinds of runners, but they are looking healthy, and they sure have enjoyed having a little bit of straw down between them. And it's amazing how mulching will keep so much moisture in the ground. As you can see, peppers, these are my sweet peppers. Yes, I'm quite pleased this year with the pepper situation. And I have yet to harvest my beets, but it won't be long. I'm hoping this weekend coming. I was supposed to do it this weekend, but you can see they're getting pretty big in there. Now, we did have some rainfall, which was we were very grateful for. We were incredibly dry here, but of course in the greenhouse you have to keep watering, because the thing that keeps the heat in also keeps the rain out. And anyway, the grapes are coming along nicely. I'm going to get a little batch of those. I don't think I'll be able to have enough to make any wine, but maybe next year. Again, more tomatoes. These are my Italian tomatoes. And again, a very good yield. I'm very pleased with the greenhouse. It has done well. Now you can see by the grass how dry it has been. We were just absolutely burnt out. We seriously needed rain. Everything was just starting to droop, but with the heat, there's no doubt about it, it brought everything on. And here is the spuds. I think we've just about done away with the Colorado beetle or potato bug. And of course you can see the different timing. This was the last one. This bed here, and there's a bed on the other side of the pea stand there. These were the last potatoes to go in, so of course you'd expect they'd be the smallest. Next last. Anyway, I'm anticipating a great crop of potatoes, and as you can see, this is my pumpkin and squash patch. unbelievable. And it's incredible how the weeds spring up even in this mess of leaves. And of course they're just spilling over in between the raised beds here. Now there's a little bit of powdery mildew there, but other than that, and I did find an interesting way of treating that was with baking soda and milk. And you make a sort of a liquidy substance and you paint that on in full sun, and the proteins in the milk will get rid of the powdery mildew. Onions doing really well. And now of course the peas have come on quite a bit. They're almost to the top of the trellis. Won't be long, but you can see they are just dripping with peas. And you can eat these in the pod when they're small like this, or you can leave them till they fill out like that and have them as a shell pea. Now what I usually do when I'm saving seeds, I'm looking for your perfect pod, like that for example. You can see it's every pea is taken up, it's a full pod, and so those are the kind of things I will be picking for replanting. And of course the larger the better. Here's another one, and you can see each individual pea in there. It's completely filled. And so this is what you do when you save seeds. You take the best. You take the best peas that you can get, and you keep doing that every year, and you start weeding out. You know, when you get, now look at that, you see it doesn't have a full set of peas in there, and it's a little bit lumpy. This one here too, you see, I wouldn't save that, I'd be eating that. So you eat all your basically not so good looking peas, and you save all the best, and you'll find by selective breeding year after year, you will just get better and better peas. Here's the carrots. Starting to eat some carrots now. And they're coming out about that size. Very nice, small and sweet. And as you can see, my cucumber tower is working quite well. They're about a third of the way up, and it won't be long. They're flowering already, and you can see little cucumbers forming in there. Bee balm flowering out. And as I say, this bed here is pretty well established in asparagus, but this bed here is the new bed, and you can see there are some small asparagus tips coming out. I'm going to let these fern out. You can see they're not quite as well developed, you know, when you stand back. So there's some very thin strands here, you can see. And so I'm just going to leave that, going to let that flower out, and next year they will be even stronger and there'll be even more. Now again, these are my sort of general day-to-day picking onions. That's why I put them in like this, with two sets. One set I completely leave for the summer to grow to full size, and these I just sort of pick them as I need them. And I find that works out very, very well. You get them at all sizes, and so you don't have to sort of touch your main stash, as it were. Yet more potatoes, and of course these are my early potatoes. Yum, yum, yum. So this is what I like, is digging up fresh spuds for supper. Here we go, fresh. Here we go, fresh out of the garden. This is what I like. It's so nice. It saves so much money and time when you can just come down here and just turn over the soil like this and pull up. And there you go, that's all I'm going to dig up for supper tonight. Absolutely perfectly fresh right out of the ground. These potatoes taste absolutely gorgeous, and that is why I always plant real early, like end of March the potatoes went in. So April, May, June, 3 months you're eating potatoes, and the rest will go into storage when the time comes. Of course, kale, constantly picking kale, and you can see that there are some nice sweet peppers there, banana peppers. Now I have been working out in the garden. Here are some yet more potatoes. These are my beans. I finally got my beans started in a sprouting jar, and I transplanted those today because, as I say, we've had a good 2 inches of rain come down, and we really needed that rain. It soaked right through, and I transplanted all of my leeks because they were basically getting stunted in their small containers. Anyway, we'll see how they do. I'm hoping that they will be fine. Last time I planted leeks, I got leek moth in them, and they just chewed their way through these things. But as I say, with the garlic this year, I had no sign of leek moth, and we are kind of late in the season, but they don't mind the cool weather, so they'll go well into September, so we still have a good 70 or 80 days for them to mature. And of course, dill is now going to seed. And I'll tell you what I haven't seen this year. Normally I see on my dill plants at least 1 or 2 monarch butterfly caterpillars, but I haven't seen them this year. Cilantro's flowered and gone to seed. And again, I am urging everyone this year, if they can, save some seeds for next year. And as I say, with selective breeding, collecting the best of the best, you will get the best crop every single year, and it will just keep on improving. Am I enjoying my raspberries? Yes, I am. Oh my God. Every day I come down here and I just pig out on raspberries. You can just see how many they are. This raspberry bed is now about 4 years old, and each year I trim out the thickest stems and let the new growth, about 3 or 4 of the thickest stems I take out and allow the new growth to come up, and wow, you can see how nicely they are doing. And of course, as I say, I like to have lots of flowers to keep balance. We've got a few potatoes over here, end up in the compost pile along with some onions. And to be quite honest with you, it's a little bit of a relief to get some cool weather for a couple of days. It has been hot, hot, hot. This year has been such an exceptional year as far as weather is concerned, and of course we've had the outbreak, which has had many side effects that we're only just now starting to feel. The weather, you could basically cut Canada diagonally right across the center. On the west coast it has been cold and wet. I mean, they've been struggling to break 17, 18 degrees. They've had a really high rainfall for this time of year. They're normally, well, they do get a lot of rain, there's no doubt about that, but usually the temperature is very, very warm over there. The Okanagan Valley is basically just subtropical. There's banana plantations in the Okanagan Valley, and they've been cold and damp, and we have been absolutely baking hot and dry. No rain at all. The rain that we've just had was very welcome, but it's looking again like we're going to go a couple of weeks without any serious rain. There's a couple of showers forecast, but only 40% chance of precipitation. Now, there's been a lot of things like this going on across the world, of course, and I spoke earlier about China, and I've been putting together some more footage. I mean, it's just absolutely staggering, the amount of farmland that has been decimated by this flood. And of course, what's happening now is because all of this water, all of this rain that came down is doing what it used to traditionally do, flood down the Yangtze. All of the minerals coming out of the mountain are fertilizing the ground, and so as soon as this water recedes, there is going to be an incredible outgrowth of greenery. And what's happening next on the border of India and China and Myanmar and China are locusts. And so they're getting ready for a major invasion of locusts, which will come through and eat anything that didn't get perished or washed away in the floods. There's also issues with their pigs and with their chickens. There is a kind of influenza that has affected them, and so they are losing a lot of this protein. Then you start adding in the fact that migrant workers have not been allowed across the border into America or Canada to help with planting and harvesting, so a lot of the planting hasn't been done. And I was listening to an interview the other day about a farmer, and he had a soft fruit farm and 100 acres. He said, normally this time of year I'd have 80 people ready to go, and I have 8. So he figured maybe a third, maybe a quarter of his crop would be brought in, and he was uncertain about the rest. If he could hire some more help, it would be positive. But, soft fruit, a lot of these things, is a very narrow window when you can harvest because they just rot on the tree. So you think of all of these things, all of these food issues, and basically the cost of food is going to go through the roof. Now, this flooding that's in China is now spreading into India and Pakistan, and now so these countries, you see, these countries are well aware of what happens when they have food shortages, and that word begins with R and ends in N, and that is revolution. And so these governments are going to be basically spending till their back case in. They will do anything to get rice, grains, onions, whatever it is that they need, the staples that their people need, because they want to stave off any kind of uprising. So there will be intense pressure on food this year, and that means that the cost will rise. As I say, if the Indian government and the Chinese government are willing to pay basically anything that is being asked to make sure that their food supplies, stay well stocked. And as as you've seen from the floods, I mean, all of the stuff that is in these stores, it's done. It's been soaked right through. There'll be mold setting in. Goodness knows where all the rats and mice have gone, because they always go for high ground when it comes to flooding time. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a very, very, very tenuous late summer and fall, and that's when we're really going to start seeing our cost increases. And not to mention, it seems that all of our meat processing plants have been completely susceptible to outbreaks, and they have shut down. And so a lot of our protein sources are not getting to the marketplace. Now, why this can't be coordinated with the army have trucks and they're there for emergency measures. Why can they not ship some of this food to market? Why can some of the summer students who are looking for work not go out to some of the farms and help pick? You know, the army could take them out there in trucks and they can do picking and planting, and that's what they need to do if they want to collect their benefit. I'm at a loss for words as to why this is not being better coordinated, especially as food is a #1 requirement of just about everyone on the face of this earth. Unless you are a breatharian and you can live on fresh air alone, you need to be thinking about your food sources, either having some set aside or growing your own. And this, as we go on, is going to become more and more important. The weather is just not conducive to good growing. You need to have small growing areas where you can kind of control the climate. You can either grow indoors and do sprouting, or you can quickly cover with straw your crops, or you can have small hoop greenhouses or larger greenhouses I have to try and extend your season and put some groceries in the larder. Anyway, please think about that. As I say, we don't seem to be getting a lot of this news on mainstream media. I'm not quite sure why, but there's no doubt about it. The food situation is going to become quite tenuous. And of course, if people haven't been working, they don't have money, or as much money, shall we say, and so the cost of groceries increasing is going to be quite an important factor in the budgeting, the household budgeting. Okay, well, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe below. And in the meantime, this is Hound Dog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant evening, and we'll talk very, very shortly. See you now. Bye.